So, yes, it sounds like the experts are nervous about the judge who was appointed as the judge in the Trump federal indictment in Florida, indictment for obstruction, retention of classified documents, and so on and so forth. And so the judge appointed or pulled is Judge Aileen Cannon, who she was appointed by Donald Trump himself, and he has been before her before in another matter, which she ruled rather um, strangely in his favor, given the facts, and then she was overruled by the appellate courts. But in any event, she is the judge that has been appointed to this case as of now, and so people are very nervous that she's just going to dismiss the case. Let's hear what MSNBC has to say.
There is some issue about exactly what the pool of judges might be. I know there's some reporting out there that suggests the pool might be as many as 15. We think it actually might be a little bit smaller than that. Put that aside. The point is the Justice Department has to be feeling a little bit of heat about the fact that this is the judge that they pulled, and this might be the judge that they're stuck with, and this might be the judge that does have the power to either slow this case down a lot or dismiss the whole thing.
Yeah, well, and that's a dramatic amount of power, Andrew. As much as people are saying, look at this indictment, it's artful, it's
So yeah, I mean, it sounds like the judge is expected to definitely be in Trump's camp in this case, which would sound like it should be a slam dunk case for the defense. And using a strategy that in my naivete, even I thought, wait a minute, is this some kind of strategy that courts use where they just, delay a case to its demise? Apparently, yes, it is.
It's watertight. Aileen Cannon could basically squash this whole thing.
So she has enormous power. I do think that there are limits on could she get rid of the whole thing. That's where
or delay it until it becomes
exactly untenable. In other words, if she's smart, which so far I have to say her rulings have not been. I mean, her rulings were reversed twice by a conservative court of appeals. So she has not really shown her best. But it would be, if she did the dramatic step of just dismissing the indictment, I mean, you have to have a reason for that, and that can be appealed. So I'm less worried about that. There's another way to do it which is much easier and very hard to appeal, which is just delay.
Yeah.
And so you sort of essentially accomplish the same thing that you're saying, but you just say, you know what, my calendar is really busy, and we're going to have a lot of discovery, and we're going to have a lot of motions, and this gets put off. That could be quite problematic.
That's clever. And I do think that courts use this technique quite a lot in cases where, for whatever the reason, they don't want to deal with the particular case. My concern, though, would be he has a right to a speedy trial. This is a criminal trial. It's not a civil trial. So there's a whole speedy trial doctrine, if you will. And so, obviously if she's delaying, it might be in his favor. I mean, she delays this, a year from now, we're in 2024, and then he can ask for another adjournment because he's in the middle of a presidential campaign, right? Because he's still the front runner. And, until after the election is decided. If he wins, now you're delaying for 4 years because, in theory, a sitting American president cannot, be sued in a personal capacity. I believe there's some rule to that effect. So, delaying could be very, very clever for Trump as a strategy if he doesn't want to settle this case. I mean, I think he should settle the case, frankly, and take a plea and agree to not ever seek public office again, and just get his life back, go play golf, go build, be Donald Trump again, the Donald Trump I used to love, the businessman and the wheeler dealer around town with his, private jet and his this and his that and his Trump Tower and this. Just go back to that life, building golf clubs. He still has access to the powerful and the rich people in the world without all the headaches. Just let go of all these grudges, move on with his life, and take this plea where, look, in exchange for me not running again because I'm the front runner, I'm going to be the next president, y'all. You drop all these charges. Another thing is, another reason why he might not want to do that is that if he does win, and he could because of the sympathy vote, because even I, who am not Republican, I don't want Trump anywhere near the White House ever again, just for my own stress levels. He's a stressful human being, and I don't think the presidency is the right place for him. He's not at his best in that role. He can be much better as a businessman and a wheeler dealer around the universe rather than in the White House. But even I feel sympathy for him. And that's something that's very, very concerning because, the more they push this, I think, is the more they build that sympathy vote for him, not just among hardcore MAGA people, but other Republicans and even independents and potentially some Democrats. And then he wins the White House. He just pardons himself and he pardons everybody. And they change the Constitution while he's there. First of all, he's going to pack the courts. He may even expand the court and just pack it with just all these conservative judges who are very young and who are going to be there for the next 30, 40 years. And he rigs it up like that, right? He pardons himself. He changes the Constitution materially, especially when it comes to the president and the presidential powers, but in other ways as well. And the Democrats have also created a situation where the Republicans go into this tit for tat diplomacy where, they now have vendettas against their opponents in the House, in the Senate, in the gubernatorial races, in every way. You create this country, and the country is already teetering on that anyway, but now you have now given it currency to have people seek vendettas against other people who are their political opponents. I think this is a very, very serious and important consideration in, being willing to settle this case with Trump, is that we've already, I think, gone too far. And not only for the United States, because in other countries around the world where the rule of law is not so strong, people are going to be incarcerating their opponents left and right. They're doing it already. But now that we have America doing it, it's just going to be open season. And many of these cases are going to be completely bogus. And I think there was a different way to deal with this particular situation. Or maybe there wasn't. There was no other way to get Trump to know that they're serious, right? You're going to respect the rule of law. You're going to return these documents. And we're going to bring you before a court of law. Okay, we got your point. Now he's facing this trial and many others. I think in this particular trial, if I were him, I would be looking to settle. I don't think Trump will settle. I think, like this guy says on MSNBC, they're going to look to delay this, get him back into the White House, and they're going to change the whole game. And then they're going to haul a lot of Democrats into court and thrown into prison. It's just going to become a place where nobody in their right minds would want to live. They're going to turn the country into something like that if Trump wins again. They're going to change all the rules. They're going to haul all the Democratic leaders and former presidents, including President Obama, before the courts for many, many dubious and bogus reasons. And they're going to succeed because they're going to change the construction of the Supreme Court itself. They are going to expand the court, but they're going to rig it up with all hyper conservative judges. And another Democratic president will not get back into the White House anytime soon. And it's a mess. I regret that it had to get to this point. But again, I understand why the DOJ probably brought this case. And as I said, I mean, it's very incriminating for the president, for President Trump. As I said, I don't want President Trump to go to prison. But as I said, he should be disqualified, in my opinion, from ever holding public office again. And he should go play some golf and just let this whole thing be. Just let go of this. That's my opinion. But the judge he appointed, Judge Cannon, just delaying this into to its death. I mean, clever. But I think judges shouldn't do that. I mean, and I see it in other contexts. It's horrible. It's really horrible. I mean, it really makes me totally have no respect at all for this system called the justice system in general, right? There's no such thing. It's a joke. It's a lie.